Hey, everybody, it's 12 noon East Coast time. That familiar ring in your ear. It's Carm Capriato, the Town Hall Academy. Where would you rather be than right here, right now? East Coast, you're enjoying your lunch, and hopefully you've got us up on your smartphone. And you guys, like Mike out on the West Coast, are enjoying your second cup of coffee. Glad to have you here. We're here to talk about the relationship you have with your accountant and how you value it. And frankly, I hope we're going to get this podcast out onto some deaf ears with some shop owners that may have to say to themselves, you know what, I need to get a real live, honest to God accountant on my team. And that's what we're here to talk about. So, Hunt, you were with me this Tuesday. We did a Carmcast. We had 3 other shop owners on. We were talking about where we stood with PPP or CARES Act 3.5. It got passed yesterday. The president's signing it today. $484 billion in this one, and a ton of money to continue the PPP plan. And I want to ask you up front, Hunt, is there any alternative to the PPP for a business owner?
There's alternatives out there, but as of right now, that is our best course of action. There's a couple plans out there for, some payroll tax credits. There's some plans out there for delay of payroll tax credits. But as of right now, the best course of action is going to be the PPP until that's exhausted.
Okay, I did hear that. I also heard a pundit say, be careful, you're going into debt. And even though this might be forgiven and become a grant, be very, very careful. And this person said they don't even know what that's going to be like. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm guessing you're referring to Dave Ramsey.
Well, not Dave, but one of the other guys like him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really the biggest thing is, just like from the start, there is so much hearsay, there's so much confusion. And, really the only backing behind that statement I've heard from some people is, well, I'm not sure. I just think, the government never takes care of us. And it just seems too good to be true. And they're going to come back and they're going to change their mind on this. I just really can't see that happening. They're essentially giving us a forgivable loan, and these banks aren't underwriting this. They aren't seeing if you can afford to pay them back. And at the same time, they're also saying, no, don't sit on this money, go and spend it. And so I just really don't see how they could, in their right mind, turn around and say, you know what? Yeah, scratch that. We actually do want that money back. I'm not going to say it can never happen, but yeah, that's not the direction I think this is headed.
Well, thanks for taking a sidestep here on CARES Act for me, as we now are going to get ready to dig into the topic here at hand. But first, a shout out to Shopware. If you haven't thought about your management software this year, I bet you've got some free time, though. I bet you the shop owners that are with us, Mike and Travis, you probably don't have any free time, because I think you're in the center pivot post, deep end of the pool, worried and thinking strategically about what's the new normal going to look like as every day changes. But yet, you probably have some time on your hands to think about Shopware's shop management system. It's transforming the way shops like yours do business by giving you tools to increase your sales while delighting your customers. Go to getshopware.com for all the details. More time, more profit. Let me introduce my guests. As we were just chatting earlier, Hunt's become a quite regular now, and thank you so much for all that you've done for my listeners. Hunt, CPA at Paar Melis.
Thank you.
And the unique thing about Paar Melis, when I had originally, I think, met Hunt, it's got to be almost a year ago, is that they specialized in the automotive aftermarket and the service professionals. So, wow, great. I mean, talk about knowing what we do. Travis Troy's with us, Honest Wrenches, Des Moines, Iowa. Hello, Travis.
How are you?
Now, I know that's a green screen, but is that your shop?
That is. It was when it was, we just added on. So that's a photo of the fresh build back in July.
So proud. I'm sure you're so proud of that. That's beautiful. Yes. Beautiful looking. And Mike Leeches, Mike?
Leeches, yes, sir.
Leeches, I got it right. Quality Motors. Laguna Niguel?
Yes, sir. Laguna Niguel, California.
I got that right too. Wow. And I tried to practice that, but thank God I got it. Mike, Troy, and Hunt. Let's talk about accounting. The accountant used to come into my business and say, wow, you're making money. This is great. And then I say, well, where is it? And then he would start doing his duty by showing me what was wrong with my cash flow and the stuff that was hanging out on my balance sheet that was consuming cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the big reasons. And of course, I have to tell you, the proof of concept of why you need a great CPA firm working for you has just fallen upon us in the last month. And so that's why I really decided, knowing Hunt like I do, to bring on a couple of his clients. Of course, this is not a commercial for Paar Melis, but these guys have found the value in having a CPA working for you. Travis, I want to ask you the first question: the biggest benefit that you see in working with your CPA?
During these times, it's been to just have somebody to lean on and bounce ideas off of and get advice from. And, Hunt and I have talked a lot in the last several weeks, as early as 6:30 in the morning, as late as, we were on some videos and stuff like that, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And so, just to have somebody like that in your corner is so beneficial. One of our meetings we had, I basically said, Hunt, I tossed you the keys to my business. It's now yours. What would you do? There's all these things that were out there, grants and loans and so many things that we didn't really, as business owners, didn't really know what to do. There was so many things that I didn't know what to do. So I tossed the keys to Hunt and said, what would you do? And really took my faith in him and Paar Melis and let them guide me. And it's been very, very beneficial, especially through these times.
What did you do, Hunt, when he threw you the keys?
So I think, one of the perspectives of me looking at it is, I'm a third party, right? I don't know what's going on day to day. I don't know what is going on in his business as far as, non-financial wise. But, the way that I can just trim it down is I look at it from a strictly numbers point of view. Hey, what's the best thing that we need to do based on the numbers? And then we kind of get into the mix of the two, because sometimes looking at the numbers, we're not getting the whole picture here, right? It might be the cheapest to lay off everyone, but then we're going to then go back and forth and say, all right, let's talk about protecting our team. If you don't have a good team, you don't have a business. And so let's kind of go back and forth and weigh the two and come up with a solution that not only can we keep our business profitable, but also make sure that we keep our team together and make sure that we're going to be able to make it through here.
Look, guys, an accountant, they just take the numbers that I do. I send them a spreadsheet. They put it in this thing. They send me a financial statement. What's the big deal here?
Wrong.
Well, it's really nice with Paar Melis that they're so specialized into automotive. They understand the margins. I usually work with Reed. He's such a great thought partner. Sometimes he'll come up with something that is so outside of what I was thinking about, and the solution comes out of the conversation because he has such in-depth knowledge of our industry, working with the hundreds of automotive clients that they have. And I was very hesitant to move to an accountant that was 3,000 miles away when my old one was 30 miles away. And I'm asked that question by a lot of other shop owners. How can you do that? You never even see them. And I'll elaborate on that some more later if you'd like. But
yeah, I do.
Having a specialized accountant is excellent.
A specialized accountant, I like that. Travis, how about you? Just a numbers man?
I agree 100% with what Mike said. I had joined a new accounting firm right before I met Paar Melis, and I was just like, darn it, I should switch right now. But I had just acquired everything with them and waited a year and regretted that year and wished I would have just jumped ship right away. And been with those guys for just over 2 years now. And the strategic planning alone that comes with somebody that knows your industry so well. Yeah. Being able to plan for the future, know, equipment, and know everything about it, entire aspect of your business, not just on a numbers standpoint, but literally the day-to-day operations and everything, and have a little bit more understanding about what you go through. Really, really helps. And I had absolutely no issues with them being so far away. to me, that's just one plane ride out if I got to go talk to Hunt face to face, I guess.
No, I get it. You said strategic planning. I have a question to ask you, Travis and Mike. Do you have business coaches?
I do, yes.
Okay, Mike, do you?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I with ATI about 15 years.
Okay, great. And you can tell me who yours is, Travis. It doesn't matter.
ATI.
ATI. Okay. So, a question. You said strategic planning. Is it your coach that's helping you more, or is it a combination of the coach and the accountant?
I believe the coaches will come up with some ideas and stuff like that, but you don't dig down into the numbers and stuff like that as much with your coach, at least with my coach, as I do with my accountant. We look into forecasting and, Reed and Hunt have worked with, spreadsheets and stuff like that. So I can look at, where I can be 5 years from now with, a building purchase that I did, a building add-on that I did, things like that have been so. I'm a zero debt person. Always have been, always will be, and sometimes that's a struggle for me because there is good debt in my opinion. It's just hard for me to take it on.
Okay, so the expansion that we see behind you, was that zero debt?
That was zero debt, yes.
Wow. So you would have probably worked with your accountant to come up with the plan, if you will, how you were going to get. I'm sorry, not get, but put the money away so that this thing was a cash. Everything you did was what you paid for.
Correct. It was all planning, and it was planning basically from the day we started with Paar Melis. We knew what we wanted to do, and I was working with Reed quite a bit, and he just kind of walked me through, and you're going to want to set this amount away every week. We brought it all the way down to the week. So I just have an automatic transfer set up, and I still have it today. I never got rid of it.
I love the concept of weekly, Travis. Hunt, Mike, I don't know about you, but it seems to me that, every month I'm going to put some money away.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It never happens. You're right. That's a great discipline, a good takeaway here.
One of the keys to that is make it automatic.
Yeah.
Do mine monthly, and I doubled it this year. We don't have any debt either. I'm the last person to jump onto a tool truck, but just making that transaction automatic so you don't have to think about it it's really the key to the discipline.
Do you let your people on the tool truck, Mike?
I encourage them to stay away from it. Way better ways to buy tools than off the tool truck.
Yeah, that's a mortgage payment waiting to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So, Mike, you have did you change to Paar Melis a little while ago?
I changed to Paar Melis, had to be 10, 12 years ago. I met Reed at ATI several times, and we actually ended up having kind of a personal relationship. And it was difficult. The accountant I had before that, I had my entire life. Even when I was in high school, I had my first income tax from my little job. He's the guy that did it. So I've been in business 40 years, July 1st. If you think back, I was with that guy at least 30 years. He was at my wedding, the whole deal. He's an older guy, and it was difficult to part ways with him.
Give us a little background on that, because there are shop owners out there that are saying, hey, look, I can relate to what Mike is saying. I've been with my accountant for 10 years, not 100% sure I'm getting my money's worth, or he is helping me as a strategic, partner in my business. How tough was it?
It was a personal thing. It was almost like breaking up with somebody.
Yep.
And, I did it over the phone because he's 30, 40 miles away. And I explained to him that he knew I had joined this coaching arrangement. And I just told him that this is just a better way for me to go. They're specialized. I think they'll be able to help me as I continue to grow. And he took it kind of personal. But I let him do my income taxes for the 2 years after that. And not, he didn't do the monthly stuff, but he did the year end. And then I switched to Reed to do my taxes, which was really a crushing blow for my old CPA. And Reed went through the taxes and ended up saving me about 20 grand the first year. So I was sold, and I can promote their services everywhere I can. It was a little more personable with the old guy because he was a one-man show, but this works. I know everybody over at Paar Melis, and everyone's been great. Whether it's the monthly girl or Hunt or Reed or whoever I talk to, they always can make time for me.
Thank you. Hunt, let me ask you about the relationship beyond the numbers. What do other, Travis and Mike, they've come to you guys for strategic planning. What else do you see in a good accounting relationship that businessmen come to you for?
I mean, it's just really that, just an asset, just another set of eyes. Like the way that I look at a shop's business is a lot different than a shop owner would look at it. It's almost 100% from the number side of it, which obviously leads into non-financial conversations. But, I think that the biggest asset is what goes on beyond the numbers. As far as I'm concerned, anyone can do a tax return, and that's what most accountants are focused on. A tax return provides no value to you, provides no value to Mike or to Travis. We have to do it for the government. And so if that's our end focus, we're losing out on a monstrous opportunity, which is the day-to-day, the monthly numbers. Just like anyone can do a tax return, anyone can give you a set of financial statements. But where the real value comes into working with a professional that understands it is when we have these conversations of, all right, Hunt, what are you seeing from the numbers? What jumps out at you? How do you read it? And so that's what I kind of explain to a lot of people is that, what we do is really heavily on the education side of it. What I want is to empower shop owners, to have them understand the financial aspect of their business, or even some of them to just get them interested. There's a lot of people that say, hey, I have an accountant. I don't know what they do. I send them all my numbers. And what I'm trying to, bring to the forefront and to show them the value behind it is we just can't be sending that off. We need to be using this. This is our lifeline to our business. Whether you like it or not, you need to understand the financial side of your business. And then I think once people start working with us and they start seeing the value of looking at this stuff and walking through it, it's huge. One of the things that I hear all the time from people when we get new shop owners is they might have these questions. They might have an accountant where they are interested in the financials, and they'll ask their accountant, hey, why do you guys do it like that? Or should I be doing it like that? And a lot of times they say, well, don't worry about that. It doesn't matter. Just kind of stifling it there, or maybe even talking down to them. I tell my clients all the time, if you have a question, if you've heard of something that you think might be a better way to do something, call me up. That's why we're here. Let's have that open and honest conversation of saying, all right, Travis, you want to do it like that? I hear you. This is the way we do it, and this is the reason why we do it that way. At the end of the day, these are his financials. So whatever is going to be most useful for him, we're going to do.
So you're learning from your clients. And for example, if somebody's on fire, they're growing, everything looks great, margins, and give a lot of credit to the coach.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, do you say, how you guys doing it?
Yeah.
Do you care that much to know some detail?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I learn a lot from my clients, just like a lot of times I have, my clients that are looking for me for resources. A lot of times I see successful shops and, I'll have them work with other shops. I've used Travis before because there's some stuff that Travis does really well. And I know the number side of it, but operational, I don't know down to detail how he's doing it. So I've had a couple of shops that were struggling. And I said, hey, you know what? I know what the numbers are. I'm not sure how to implement it. Why don't I connect you with Travis and he can kind of show you how he's really doing this stuff and, making it work.
That's a cool idea. Hey, I want to stop one more time, talk about shopware. Let's talk SMS systems. Now's the time. Invest the time to transform your shop, break away from your legacy SMS and embrace Shopware shop management system. Now, Shopware can show you the way to increase profits from happier customers and a more efficient staff. Ooh, cool idea. A more efficient staff. Visit getshopware.com for a free preview. More time, more profits. Guys, I'm speaking specifically to Travis and Mike here. So you get this profit and loss statement, this profit profit or loss. That's what you guys call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, profit or loss, not profit and loss. And I learned that after being in the industry and owning my own businesses for so many years, when Hunt, or I think it was Reed, said on one of our shows, profit or loss, I said, oh my God, that's right. After all these years. So you get this financial package. Travis, Mike, I'm asking you both the same question. What was the biggest revelation between cash flow, balance sheet, and profit or loss statement that hit you hard?
Well, I'll go first. I don't think there's any business owner that doesn't go to the last page and look at the bottom line first. Well, that's the thing that we're most interested in. But the way that they put it together and compare you to other people in your industry is really a handy tool.
Yeah.
And I particularly like the way that they run the chart down to the same time last year. You can run through that, and if you see a big bubble that, wow, I spent 30% more on uniforms this year than last year, you got to go back and see what's going on. They're just so much detailed information, and you can make it as detailed as you want it to be. Some shop owners are breaking things down more detailed, and some might make it a little more general, but they're always open to categorizing it the way you feel it's important. And it's just such a difference in a general accounting firm.
I agree 100%. The package that we get every month and quarter, it stacks you up against their other automotive shop clients. It shows you, where you're at within them. And then they also give you benchmarks. So, advertising and marketing, they like to, the benchmark is to be within this % of your sales, and this is where you are.
Well, time out for a minute, Hunt. Is that you giving them that benchmark, or are you saying, Travis and you guys spent some time, he's ready to grow, second operation, we're going to spend a little bit more on marketing, and would that be, not only do you benchmark, but do you budget too?
Yeah, and so it would be, numbers are the starting points for all conversations, right? And I tell people this all the time of, that's the tricky part about using an industry benchmark and sticking to that extremely hard, right? So let's say an industry benchmark for repair shops is 3 to 6% of your sales on advertising. But that's just the start of the conversation. Then if I say, let's say I'm talking to Mike and I say, hey, you're at 6% of your sales on advertising. What do you see that your business doing here? If Mike says, hey, I'm looking to grow this, I'm looking to add 10, 20%, I would say we're on track here. Now, if Mike says, I got more work than I know what to do with, then we're saying 6% seems extremely high. It all starts on the numbers, but where it leads us is we got to make sure that the numbers match up to, what your goals are.
And so there's guidance coming from your accountant, Mike, and then you choose to do something with it or about it.
Yeah, I really like looking at the percentages, and comparing to where I was at in another, like last year, that, this February to last February, and check the trend to make sure that I'm going the right direction. There's been some amazing things that I have found that have happened by just doing the comparison. And sometimes it's that something got categorized wrong, but it helps you catch that. Another thing that has really been great since, I've been with these guys a long time is they keep you on the ball. I mean, I could go months without sending my information to my old guy. And if I don't have my stuff in by my usual time, which is like the third week of the month, I'm going to hear from my accountant at Hunt's place saying, get your numbers in, get your numbers. It's discipline's everything.
Yeah. When do you expect to see your financial package? What time as the month ended? Within 2 weeks?
I would say very comfortably within 2 weeks after you submit all your information.
Because you're looking at historical data, sometimes it's very difficult to go out and say, let me see, that happened 45 days ago. How do we start fixing that? Okay. Hey, guys, I was kind of driving earlier about the value of the balance sheet. None of you mentioned it. You all mentioned, the bottom line. I get that. That's what we work so hard to do. But what has been the big revelation from the balance sheet for you guys, Troy and Mike?
I mean, just having them, a lot of people just look at a PRL and that's all that they care about. And having, Paar Melis explain to us what a balance sheet is, the importance of knowing and understanding it. And that's one of the more important sides of your business, because that really kind of shows your worth and how much money you truly have. So, with Hunt and their team over there being able to help us, know and understand, the entire balance sheet and know exactly where we're at and how healthy our business is, I think is really important. And it's something that they've helped us with greatly.
Same with you, Mike.
Yes, I look at the balance sheet occasionally, but I admit this is an area that I'm not particularly disciplined in, and I spend a lot of time on the PRL. Is that I think that has gives me a better view of what's happening now. The balance sheet is, more of the big picture, and I'm maybe focused a little bit more on the month-to-month operation.
It's your turn, Hunt. Explain the value of the balance sheet.
So I think one of the things is really any sort of financial information is kind of intimidating to a lot of people. It's just a really big wall of numbers. I think the PRL is a tool for people, and they utilize it the most because, hey, I want to see what happened. I want to see where things went right and where things went wrong. It's also it makes a lot more sense. We got our sales, we got our costs, we got our expenses. You can kind of visualize what that looks like in your day-to-day business. The balance sheet is a bit more abstract, right? We have accruals, we have prepaids, we have depreciation, we have all kinds of stuff like that. And so I think just kind of educating on, hey, we don't need to be diving too deep into the balance sheet for the most part, but I want to understand what the relationship between where this money is going, because it's a snapshot. And so what we want to see is on that snapshot that we're getting in a healthier position, right? We want to see that we're going to keep money in the business. A time like this is, most businesses out there got a stress test, right? Let's see how liquid you were. Let's see how much cash reserves that you had, and sometimes people found that out the hard way, right? But if you're looking at that balance sheet, you're kind of being able to plan to say, hey, am I over leveraged, right? Do I have too much debt compared to the assets that I have? It's definitely something that is a work in progress. Some people don't utilize it because they don't understand it. And that's my job to try and say, hey, let's kind of demystify this. Let's tell you what you should be looking at and the kind of trends that you should be seeing there.
Thank you for that. Guys, the new normal. Hell, I started to talk about that a month and a half ago. It is now the right things to be saying about where are we headed, where are we going, how are we going to get there. In fact, I think it's next Friday. Next Friday, we're doing the new normal. Next, we're get some shop owners on to talk about from their perspective what's the new normal. And if we had 250,000 different shop owners on here, we'd have 250,000 different answers of what the new normal is going to look like. But as we're all going to reinvent our business, without a doubt, over the next year or even two, once this, vaccine comes out and maybe then we get back to whatever normal is the new normal, how could anyone go forward without having a great CPA on staff? I mean, am I right in thinking that there's some major moves that have to happen in our businesses? And to me, I think there's just too many that haven't committed to the right accounting firm or financial package.
I agree 100%. I don't know what I would do if I had any of my previous CPAs on board. I would be lost.
You'd have a few less hours of sleep, I bet.
Yeah, I've slept really well through this process. I have. I don't know about Hunt because he's kind of been on the gun. I mean, he's been on just about everything you can think of, and
yeah, I know he's in demand. He's going to hire an agent soon. I'm going to get a letter.
The bill's on the way.
Yeah. No, Hunt has been, just phenomenal, and I really, really hope it pays off because a guy like him in a company like Paar Melis that's doing so much for the industry and everything that they've done and helped me. I don't even know what I'd do if I didn't have them. It's one of those things that you make a decision in your business to make a big change like that. And, I just can't be more thankful.
I would agree 100%. And the leadership out of Paar Melis and Hunt sort of making the circuit has really been super valuable. And just to get back to the discipline of the accountants at Paar Melis, the lady who handles my monthly business, she called me last week. I need to get on your computer to set up your PPP money. And well, I haven't even gotten it yet. That's how focused they are in making sure that you do things right, because they want to make sure that you budget all that right and track it all right, so you get to keep it and not pay it back. But she was, 2 weeks ahead of me trying to set that up. And that's just an example of you're not going to get that out of the guy down the corner who's doing every kind of business in the world.
What a great point. In fact, I think we talked about this Tuesday on the Carmcast, Hunt, when I think it was Andy Bizib says, yeah, I put that in a separate account.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so important. And I think you said the right word, the disciplines that you may not personally have. Well, what do I do with this thing? I just got this. It's the first time in my entire life I got this check from the government for this thing. What do I do with it? Oh, hey, honey, let's go on a trip.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, and I joke and I jest, but I know that would never happen. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Not
Hey,
me.
hang on, Mike. One more shout out to Shopware, and then I want to kind of bring this up into a little summary, and I've got a challenge for you guys. Now, it's time to transform your shop with the only management system that's going to give you more profit and more time, and who doesn't want that? Find out how shops using Shopware are driving up their profit with more efficient staff and a whole lot happier customers. Visit getshopware.com for a free demo. Tell Carolyn I sent you. Hey, let's talk about the onboarding process that not only that you guys went through, Mike and Travis, but Hunt, I'd love you to start it out. If anyone decided to says, listen, this was a great show. I was inspired. We always learn things from Carm's shows, but how? And lately, I've been in this how mode that, people talk about these great high-level concepts and ideas. And I said, we need to do a show on the how, how to do this stuff. And everyone is so talented in the how. And we really talk up here, and we need to start talking down low. And so I say, well, how do you start an onboarding process, Hunt?
Yeah. And so, the biggest thing to start the onboarding process is like, these guys were saying before, you have a financial intimacy built up with your accountant. That could be that you have a good accountant for what you think that they're doing. And there's some people that call up and they say, I've hated my accountant for the last 5 years, but I haven't made a switch because they know all my stuff. And so the way that I compare it is a lot like switching your point of sale, right? And so there's some people that go with a point of sale that have hated it for years, but they're too afraid to switch because they know what they got, right? And so, kind of that first step is reaching out and saying, all right, before I do anything, I want to know your business. I want to understand your business. I want to understand your size, how many people you got, what are your tendencies that you're doing right now. But at the end of the day, I could push you something that I think that you want, but let's see what you want out of it, right? Hey, I want to, learn more about my taxes. I don't want to have surprises. I want to, understand more about my financials. I want to learn QuickBooks. I might be doing none of that right now. And so what we do is we come up with a tailored plan that works for a shop. We used to kind of just roll people in and say, hey, you're on board with us, you're ready to go. And what we've done recently is really fine tune that, because if we don't get a good foundation set up, to move forward with, then we're never going to start off on the right foot. And so once we understand what you have going on, we say, all right, how do we clean up what has happened so that we have a good, clean starting point, whether that's training, whether that's setting up your QuickBooks, whether that's just cleaning up your QuickBooks so that it's set up correctly. And now we have a good base to start on, and now we can start working, forward through this. Because I need to have a good foundation so that I can build on that so that we can dive into those numbers. Because if you don't have accurate numbers that are set up correctly, then, I could talk on high level, but I want to be able to dig into your business, understand your business, where we're going right and where we're going wrong.
Right. So how do you make a transition, Travis?
I've been with him for a couple of years, so it's still pretty fresh in my head as, Mike's been with him for a very long time. The onboarding process to me really blew my mind, and I get reminded by it every year when we go to do our year-end planning and taxes. They have a questionnaire that you fill out. They have a check sheet that they send you. And there's things on there that, a CPA, I've never had asked me these questions before. And it really crosses all your T's, dots all your I's, and makes sure that you take advantage of everything you can possibly take advantage of. So when we onboarded with them, we went through a questionnaire. Terry and Debbie really, really stepped up to the plate. They work at Paar Melis. They helped me out tremendously with the onboarding process. Terry, I talk to on a daily and weekly basis, working through things. And those two ladies there, were instrumental to a success for Paar Melis and getting me onboarded and making sure that with my previous accountant, which towards the end, I had a lot of turnover because it was with a large firm. And so I was getting a new accountant like every other month. And so I didn't, I was just like, it's all there. And so they really helped with the communication side and reaching out to them and gathering the proper information, getting all the passwords that you need for everything, and then training. They trained me to be a professional at this and allow me to have the ability to go in and understand my QuickBooks, to go in and understand how to add things to QuickBooks, to go in and understand how to reconcile things properly and do all the things that I've only been in business for 9 years and I didn't go in to be an accountant. I promise you that. They've just really helped me be able to understand and be able to relate and have a conversation. And, like you guys have said before, build the relationship. I've got such a great relationship with so many of the, people over at Paar Melis. I've been out to Baltimore. I went out to dinner with Terry and stuff like that, just to be able to finally see a face-to-face, sit down, have a conversation that takes all the work out of it and just sit down and have dinner together.
So expect some training, expect to do some important stuff. Now, you don't do this stuff, Travis. You've obviously delegated this work, but at least you know it. And you are holding your people accountable to be sure that the numbers that Paar Melis are getting are right.
Exactly. It was one of those things, just like Hunt said, just before, they tailor it to you. So in the interview process, I let them know I would like to know more about this. I want to be more engaged. I'm not in the day-to-day operations of my business. I want to be more engaged in understanding of this. I want to know, how to see something that's going south and how to correct it right away.
Cool.
And then kind of back to the deadlines. I think it's important to set expectations with your accountants and make sure that they're, good for both sides of it. So, I basically let Terry know that she's going to have all of my numbers by the 10th of the month. And, from there, they've got to the 20th to get me my numbers back. They've never failed me once. That gives me 10 or so days to make a correction for that current month that we may have failed on the previous month, rather than being 45 days behind all the time. Yeah. I want to be able to make a correction in that very next month and move.
Sounds so smart. Thank you. Mike, any advice to anyone? You converted 15 years ago, but any advice for someone who may be looking to change?
Yeah, even though I got on board a long time ago, and I know everything has changed since then, just like the rest of the world, I talk with a lot of shop owners every week, and I promote the Paar Melis service. And I would say that, yes, it's very difficult to make that decision to leave an accountant you have a personal relationship with. And the comparison of this versus changing your shop management system, that was a really good example. But for those guys out there and ladies or shop owners, however you want to put that out there, at a minimum, I would suggest you have Hunt's team come in and look at your QuickBooks. Having them recategorize everything and clean that up will give you a taste of what is really available out there. And there's so many guys I talk to that, they don't even know. They can't barely even write a check because they don't know where to categorize the expense. So if you're not ready to make the full jump into the pool, get a hold of Hunt, have them just come in and look at how you're categorizing your QuickBooks and make sure you're at least doing that right. And they'll get a good feel for the rest of their services.
Good stuff. Thank you. Hey, there's a question, Hunt. I'm sorry that we're going to move to.
I saw it.
Yeah. Hunt, if I applied for the EIDL, the EIDL, and received the advance, but did not ask for any additional funds, is it possible to go back in on the same application and request long-term financing option now that more funding is available?
And so they're asking, I don't know if it's a he or she because it's anonymous here. And so they're asking, they got the grant, but they didn't receive the long-term SBA disaster loan. And so by applying for the grant, you've also applied for the SBA disaster loan. And so it seems to be random who they're offering this to.
I see.
We've had a number of shops get it, but essentially there's nothing that you need to do to apply for it. I would imagine that we're going to have more and more people get offered that disaster loan because part of that 3.5 CARES Act stimulus package included about, I think, another $60 billion for that program. So
Yeah.
nothing you need to do right now. I just keep an eye out for it.
That's not the 10 grand, is it? That
So
automatic?
it is. It's two pieces for that EIDL. There's the grant portion and then a loan portion, but it's one application. So if you apply for one, you're applying for both.
And do you put a number in for EIDL? No.
You say, I would like to be considered, and they come back with a number where I honestly have no idea how they're calculating it.
And that's pure debt, am I right?
That one's pure debt, but it's a cheap loan.
Really
it's
cheap. Really
30
cheap.
years, 3.75% interest, but yes, still a loan, correct.
Whoa. Let me see. It looks like Jim Hayes just raised his hand. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can find Jim. Well, Jim, I can't see your Q&A. So I'm sorry about that because we're gonna wrap it up. Guys, it's been fabulous. Thank you so much. Hunt Demarest from Paar Melis, CPA, a great contributor to the show. Great asset in our industry. Travis Troy, Honest Wrenches, Des Moines, Iowa, and Mike Leeches from Quality Motors in Laguna Niguel, California. Thank you so much for being here on the Town Hall Academy as we talk about the value of our accountant, CPA.